the weather's getting a bit cooler, and I thought it would be fun to do some stuff in the kitchen, maybe healthify some comfort foods. So today for my dinner, I'm going to make some baked beans. So I've got some beans. These are cannellini beans or navy beans that are cooked. I cook my own beans. It's really easy to do, but if you prefer, you could use a large size can of beans. Just drain it and rinse it well. That's all I've got there. Okay, let's get going. So I'm going to bake my beans in a casserole dish. I've taken it and I've put some olive oil in here, and I'm oiling it generously. See, I'm using a paper towel and I'm going right over the edges and around the sides, because sometimes this kind of stuff has a tendency to boil over, and whoever does dishes in your house will appreciate it if you've thought about that. I'm even doing the lid all the way around the edges of the lid, all the way around. There we go. Making sure that as best as we can that the boil over doesn't stick. Okay, let's get our ingredients together. I'm going to put in my beans to start. Actually, let's start with the tomatoes. The tomatoes, it's about 1.5 cups or a tin of diced tomatoes. I've used tomatoes from the garden, and I've made sure that they're drained well, so there's not a lot of extra liquid. You can see there's not a lot of extra liquid. These are heirloom tomatoes from the garden, and they're just gorgeous. This is a 1/4 cup of molasses, the same kind of molasses you should make cookies with. This gives it the secret sweetness. This isn't going to be near as sweet as the canned baked beans that you get from the supermarket, but it will give it that nice depth of sweetness. Another thing to make it a little bit sweet is another 1/4 cup of maple syrup. What would baked beans be without that mapley flavor, right? Then about a tablespoon of grainy mustard. See, you can see the whole grains in that. This is a Dijon style mustard. Beautiful. And then I've diced up, again, this is from the garden, heirloom carrot. I've diced up a nice sized carrot. So you can use just a regular carrot from the grocery store, but I have these different colors of carrots. You could put other vegetables in here. You could put peppers in here. You could put sweet potatoes in here. It's going to be in the oven for a while, so all those starchier vegetables will cook down. I'm also adding 1 chopped onion. You can go as fine as you want with the chop. If you know there's people in your house that really don't like onions, then I would grate the onion or chop it finer. We're okay with onions around here. Then we add a little bit more spice. So I've already put the Dijon mustard in, but I'm also going to add 1/2 teaspoon of dry mustard. The dry mustard has a spice to it. It has a heat to it that will kind of just add a little bit more punch. Now I like a smoky bean. And remember, we used to enjoy those pork and beans. Well, sometimes you don't want to eat pork anymore. It's not to your taste. So you could add bacon or smoked ham to this beans. If you like tofu, you could also order or add some smoked tofu to get the smoky flavor. I'm going a little bit different. I'm going with a smoked paprika today. Again, the smoked paprika will add a little bit of spice. About a teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon to a teaspoon. Maybe a little bit more today because I'm in kind of a snazzy mood. Now this is an ingredient you want to be really careful with. This is ground chipotle pepper. Chipotle pepper, as with all pepper flakes and hot sauces and that, they get a little bit hotter as you cook. So I'm a bit of a chili wimp, so I'm going to go real careful with my chipotle pepper. I'm going to go with 1/8 of a teaspoon. That's tiny, tiny amount. But you'd be surprised how much punch this has. The reason I'm using chipotle instead of maybe hot sauce or something like that, or some hot peppers, jalapenos or something, is it's going to give me a nice little warmth to the dish along with the smoked paprika and the mustard flavors. So I'm going to get that nice warmth, but I'm also going to get the hint of smokiness from this as well, because the chipotle peppers are roasted before they're ground. Then we add a little bit of seasoning, salt and pepper. I'm going to give some suggested amounts. You will probably want to adjust this to your taste. It's perfectly safe to taste this sauce as it is. There's nothing that's going to hurt you. So after you get all these ingredients in here, taste it and then make it your own. Add other things if you don't think it's quite right. So I'm doing a 1/4 teaspoon pepper. These salt and peppers came from my grandmother's kitchen, so 1930s era. And I've seen them at antique stores. They're worth something now, but I always think of my grandma in my kitchen. And then a half a teaspoon salt. I'm going to take some time to stir this sauce up, make sure it's to my taste before I add the beans. Like I said, there's nothing here. Now the person that's going to eat this with me, my honey, is behind the camera today, and I'm going to ask him, how's this looking, hon? Are you looking forward to dinner?
I can't wait. It looks absolutely delicious.
He's a baked bean fan. Train wrecker beans, right, hon?
Yes.
That's nice. I'm going to add just a little bit more salt. This is a personal preference. It's got quite enough heat for me in there, but the sweet and the spicy, woo! Then we'll add in the beans. This all goes, the spicy's getting me. This all goes into a 350-degree oven. This doesn't have to be terribly precise. So if you're making something else in the oven during that time, I'm going to serve this with some homemade biscuits, but you can just serve it with toast or salad or pitas, toasted pitas. This is going to go into a 350-degree oven, give or take, for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Now the beans are already all cooked. It's important to have fully cooked beans. Do not use raw beans when you do this, because if you add raw beans in and then put any kind of salt, the beans will never soften. So you want fully cooked beans, and make sure this is really stirred up well. There we go. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That's all going to cook down, thicken, the sugars will caramelize a little bit, and we'll have a lovely home-baked beans. I'll show you. I'm going to get this in the oven. So we've had the baked beans in the oven for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. I was baking some other things, so the temperature changed in the oven, but that's okay. And I've taken the lid off for the last half hour, so the sauce will thicken up a little bit, especially if you make it with fresh tomatoes, you're going to have a little bit more water. So let's see what we're looking at here. Now it's a really good thing that I took the time to really oil that casserole dish well. Hopefully that'll make cleanup a little bit more manageable. So let's see. Give it a little stir. See how that sauce is nice and thick. All the sugars in the maple syrup and in the molasses have caramelized. And the odor's lovely. You can pick up a little bit of that smoke from the smoked paprika and the chipotle. So let's give it a little try. That's what it looks like. You could serve this for a dinner. We're going to have it for dinner with some biscuits and coleslaw. Real kind of southern style, I guess. But you could also put this on the side when you're making a nice brunch. So, moment of truth. Did I make it too spicy? Because remember, I'm a little bit of a chili wimp. Oh my God. You gotta try this. My cameraman's shy. It's so good. Anyway, I hope you make this super high in protein, super high in fiber, not near as much sugar and fat as you might, and sodium as you would get in a canned bean. And look, we've got enough probably to feed 6 or 7 people here. Have a great day.